Yeah, so you were mentioning being associated with people can lead to suffering or taking on their, their issues and karma. Is that the same when somebody's interested in an artist or enjoying?
You're interested in their karma. See, this is a different way to approach it. What you're interested in is taking on more karma. Sometimes you need to. But from the Dharmic viewpoint, do you need to? Is it really necessary for you to take on karma that you have to be free of? So we have to understand the concept of clinging, desiring, assuming everybody else's karma as our own, which is maybe useful to a certain degree for some people, but is it really? Who needs it? So the individual has to know what their conscious condition is. Who they're being, where they are, and what they need to do to be freer and happier, more productive, more enlightened, lifted, more peaceful, in the mode of goodness, more serviceful because your ego is not involved in materialism in the same way. So you can be more generous, as needed perhaps, but more enlightened, up. Not that enlightenment is up or down, but lighter, happier, more humorous, happy-go-lucky, as some would say, present. Not in oneself, but not out of oneself, neither in nor out, okay. And then that goes to the purpose of the one's life. Why are you here? What are you doing in your world? And you may have to associate with some people. To what degree? Under what conditions? That benefits you or them. Or no one. You do what you do because you got to do it, right? Or you want to do it. Hopefully you get better at the bass playing. And you feel better about all your investments and all your involvements and all of your studying or practicing or whatever. At some point it's going to end in the form that it's in, and you may be independent of all these props and let's say connections that you need now as a rising star, let's say, for the time being. So the idea is not to be always going out in a certain way. To others, particularly, you want to have your, let's say, idea of a musician so mastered that it's about you going out and helping other beings. I'm not saying in terms of having to be a teacher, but a performer. You want to be able to outflow your musical intelligence and awareness and ability with regards to the public and those people that need to hear your, let us say, growing virtuosity. And that's what you're doing, accumulating for virtuosity purposes. So you become more adept at it and less in need of, let's say, the beginnings and others who are, happy to take your money. Right? Up to a point that may be useful. Beyond the point, you have, in terms of practice, you have it all within you to bring out. So it's a matter of going within, not outside. Because when you're going outside, you may not get as much as you can get from within, if you do that properly. And so it's not against anyone, it's just independent in a manner of speaking, where you connect with that in you that is the all you need to know, which is a theory, but it's also a result for some people. And so when you hear things like stories about some of the jazz legends where they had the woodshed for long periods of time, maybe even without other people. You just have to keep going in and in. You know. There's obviously some purpose to that. See, they want to make sure they're in touch with and staying close to that in them that is true to their purpose. See? Because there's also an understanding that spending too much time with other people in a certain respect is more about them than you. Or you have to make sure that your interactions with these musicians is to your advantage, right? That you're gaining from it and not just being taken for granted as an associate or a fan, right? You want to move from the fan base, see, to the performer, see, the artist. See. That means you have to be centered in your creativity, right? And feeling that you are the source of what you need to do, and you need to work on that and build on that, and everything else it's helpful. When it comes to, let's say, learning the reading from other musicians and studying classical music, you can do that up to a point, but you're just reading, so you can take that book and run away with it and woodshed it and do it without, depending on how well you read, you can do it without somebody telling you what it is that you already know what it is. So, you can read for yourself. So, and you have a completely different basis of being an artist when you're able to do it independently, but, you know, on your own, let's say. You know, not by ego, but because, you know, you're not breathing because of your ego. You're not eating because of your ego. You're eating because of you need to refresh yourself. You need to breathe. So, you know, it's not about others. It's something that you will do that whether others are around or not. Right? It's called life.
What if, say for instance, I feel like I should be practicing and building my strength, and I'm just having a hard time finding the motivation, but then I go and put a record on or a video on, and I get inspired by seeing somebody sing or seeing somebody play, and that's like, oh, I gotta get to my instrument now.
That's in the beginning. That's for beginners. See? And the deeper you go into your playing and trust the inner, the sooner you collapse the need, see, to be doing it the way beginners do it. See? Now, we're always going to hear, you know, as a musician, you're going to hear things you want to maybe tap into. Right? That's possible, but that's not necessarily internal. See? So you start with the external. That you want to be, let's say, free of the external so that you're free to express the internal, so to speak. It's inside. The outside is only as good as it helps you go inside. Otherwise, you're a victim of just being outside and you have nothing of your own, which is, you know, another way of doing it, but it's not necessarily the most fulfilling way of doing it. So we have to want it from within. You have to have the confidence that, oh, I know it's in there. I'm tapping into it. I know it's there. You just need to have the patience to cultivate it. So,